Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering woke American Library Association canceled after Marxist lesbians election. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. From the Washington Post, red states quit nation's oldest library group amid culture war over books. From the College Fix, Marxist American Library Association chief says libraries need to be sites of socialist organizing. Yeah, that's a problem. Not everyone wants libraries in general to be sites for socialist organizing. So first things first, yes, Emily Drabinski did get elected to be president of the American Library Association. Marxist CUNY librarian elected president of American Library Association. She said the consequences of climate change are a threat to libraries. A self-described Marxist lesbian has been elected the new president of the American Library Association. Quote, I just cannot believe that a Marxist lesbian who believes that collective power is possible to build and can be wielded for a better world is the president-elect of the American Library Association, Drabinski wrote in a tweet on April 13, 2022. I am so excited for what we will do together. Solidarity. That, of course, is not a message that is a traditional American message and not something that's going to make people feel comfortable. Drabinski's campaign to win did not just focus on obtaining more funds for libraries or increased pay and benefits for librarians. Her vision for ALA is to use the collective power of members to tackle a host of political issues. Quote, the consequences of decades of unchecked climate change, class war, white supremacy, and imperialism have led us here, she wrote on her campaign website. If we want a world that includes public goods like the library, we must organize our collective power and wield it. The American Library Association offers us a set of tools that can harness our energies and build those capacities, she said. Emily composed a, quote, Green New Deal for libraries as part of her platform. Floods, hurricanes, wildfires, and other consequences of climate change threaten libraries, library workers, and library publics around the world, Drabinski wrote. We must build on recent association work in this area and connect to broader public legislation in order to preserve libraries and communities for an uncertain future. It should be no surprise that libraries and counties wanted to cut ties with the American Library Association after this Marxist lesbian's election. The library group has come under fire for political activism and trying to stop Christian story hours. At least 8 government entities have cut ties with the American Library Association since its new Marxist lesbian president took over, according to College Fix. The American Library Association is currently led by Emily Drabinski, a self-described Marxist lesbian who is also a librarian for the City University of New York. The group has come under fire for its support of pornographic books available to kids while it simultaneously tried to stop conservative events. The College Fix reached out to Drabinski for comment, and a spokesperson for the Library Association responded. Raymond Garcia told the Fix via email, the American Library Association is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that is guided by a single mission, to provide leadership for the development, promotion, and improvement of library and information services and the profession of librarianship in order to enhance learning and ensure access to information for all. ALA remains committed to providing essential support for every library and library worker in every state and territory to help them better serve their communities. Garcia also commented on Drabinski and her political beliefs. Quote, while we respect the rights of individuals to exercise their freedom of thought and expression, ALA does not align with, endorse, or promote the political beliefs, values, or ideologies of any one individual, including its elected leaders and members, the communications specialist said. While Garcia said the group supports freedom of thought and expression, its liberal political activism led to at least one member leaving. Quote, my office cannot continue to support an organization that does not protect the First Amendment rights of Missourians and refuses to follow its own governing documents. Missouri Secretary of State John Ashcroft previously wrote in a statement to the organization. My hope is that you, ALA, reconsider this blatantly political stance, abide by your own principles, and protect the rights of Missourians. The announcement came after ALA staff were caught on video instructing members on how to stop Christian story hours organized by actor Kirk Cameron of Growing Pains. Other former members include the Texas State Library and Archives Commission, the Montana State Library, and the South Carolina State Library. The ALA's advice on how to keep Christians from hosting pro-family story hours in libraries also contributed to South Carolina's decision to cut ties. Quote, ALA has become a distractor from the core mission of serving all people and has failed to develop an understanding of differences in geographic areas, the agency director also wrote. Several Florida counties have cut ties, including Collier, Hernando, and Citrus, according to Florida's Voice. Campbell County in Wyoming also cut ties with the American Library Association just a few months after Drabinski's election. The Washington Post does not like the idea of the American Library Association getting called out for absolutely overtly political, ridiculous points of view. From the Washington Post, red states quit nation's oldest library group amid culture war over books. They're turning down money and training from a 150-year-old organization they believe is set on promulgating explicit text to children. Well, it does sound like the American Library Association has turned into a pretty dangerous group. Senator Mike Lee picked an unusual foil during a Judiciary Committee hearing about the historic rise in challenges to school books. When it was his turn to question witnesses, he called up a video of Deborah Caldwell Stone, director of the American Library Association's Office for Intellectual Freedom. In a Zoom call, Caldwell Stone had been recorded arguing that book advocates should reframe the book challenges. This debate should not center on whether titles are sexually inappropriate for minors, Caldwell Stone said. It should be about diverse materials that are about everybody's right to see themselves and their families reflected on bookshelves. Lee let the recording play out, then pounced. Quote, what we saw here was someone saying the quiet part out loud, he said. Quote, the goal is to sexualize children, to provide minors with sexually explicit material, and then hide this content from their parents. The American Library Association is facing a partisan firefight unlike anything in its almost 150-year history. Well, of course you're going to get a partisan firefight when you get political with an organization that's supposed to be non-political. The once uncontroversial organization, which says it is the world's largest and oldest library association and which provides funding, training, and tools to most of the country's 123,000 libraries, has become entangled in the education culture wars, the raging debates over what and how to teach about race, sex, and gender, culminating in Tuesday's senatorial name check. Like Lee, politicians and parents on the right increasingly paint the association, known as the ALA, as a defender of pornographic literature for children, tying their allegations into a broader conservative movement that asserts school libraries are filled with sexually explicit and inappropriate text. A 2022 tweet in which the organization's president calls herself a Marxist lesbian added to concerns. As well, that tweet should add to concerns. No one is concerned about that person's individual personal identity unless they bring it up so publicly that it's clear they're going to be utilizing it in their role as head of the organization. And she did go ahead and specifically say that libraries need to be sites of socialist organizing. There are some Americans that don't care what's happening to their country, or they like the idea of becoming a communist or Marxist country, but a huge percentage of the country do not want to give up their rights for Marxism or communism or for the American Library Association's political ideas. Over the summer, state libraries in Montana, Missouri, and Texas announced they were severing ties with the ALA, imperiling their libraries' access to funding and training. The Texas decision was taken after State Rep Brian Harrison wrote to library leaders saying that the ALA works against parents by fighting to keep pornographic materials in public libraries. Conservative legislators in at least 9 additional states are urging their state libraries to follow suit and disaffiliate. That includes Alabama, where State Rep Susan Dubois in August published an op-ed calling the ALA a conduit for pornography. 4 days later, Governor Kay Ivey wrote to her state library saying she was worried about the environment in libraries statewide and feared the ALA was making the situation worse. Meanwhile, librarians and those on the political left are defending the ALA as a key provider of money and skills for librarians. For more than 20 years, the ALA has tracked book challenges at school and public libraries. During the Judiciary Committee hearing, Democrat senators often pointed to data from the association to support their arguments. The reason these books are being challenged is because they are inappropriate for children. No, not if you're a communist. Communists, Marxists, they don't care about adult material being presented to children. But regular people, conservative people, normal people care about things like that. There is such a thing that is appropriate versus inappropriate for children. The Marxists don't believe that. In particular, they cited an ALA report tracking 1,269 attempts to remove library books in 2022, the highest number of challenges to books since the ALA began compiling statistics on the issue. A Washington Post analysis found that books about LGBT people are fast becoming the main target, and that a large percentage of complaints about books come from a smaller number of highly active adults. A lot of this agenda pushing really doesn't belong in children's books. The fact that there are a lot of these complaints means there are too many books that are pushing too much of this inappropriately. It doesn't support the other side of the argument. It supports the conservative side of the argument. What we're seeing is a lot of fear from people, a very vocal minority that has managed to paint the wrong picture of the majority of public libraries, said Susan Gregory, the director of Bozeman Public Library in Montana. The disaffection with the ALA is unprecedented and related to larger societal tendencies to refuse vaccines and to doubt climate change, said University of Pennsylvania professor Jonathan Zimmerman, who studies the history of education. He said that for more than a century, the ALA benefited from professional deference as the leading organization for librarians. Yes, but if you abuse your position of power, it's not going to take too long for people to start saying, hey, cut that out. And every position of power over time has been abused. Now they're abusing the ALA. Okay, well, you're going to get pushback because of that. Quote, "We used to trust our librarians to make judgments," he said. "This is just another chapter in the erosion of professional authority." Or you could say it's just another chapter in the abuse of professional authority. Caldwell Stone, who attended Tuesday's hearing, said she was sad but unsurprised that her organization is coming into the country's political crosshairs. She said the seconds-long video that Lee played was taken from a 90-minute seminar. She was specifically discussing how to respond to parents who call picture books pornographic simply for featuring families headed by same-sex couples, she said. Quote, "I can stand by what I said in the past, in the future, now, whatever," Caldwell Stone said. "But, it goes with the territory now. I guess this is just what's happening." It's not just about same-sex couples. And that's so disingenuous. And it's more than disingenuous. It's really just straight up evil. Like, there are scenes that are very inappropriate for children that would be considered to be adult material presented in books that are shown to children. It's incredible that she would try to deny that. It's just true. Founded on October 6, 1876 in Philadelphia by 103 male and female librarians, the American Library Association took as its original mission helping, quote, librarians do their present work more easily and at less expense. Its motto soon became and remains the best reading for the largest number at the least cost. Over the century and a half since, the organization has mushroomed to include chapters in all 50 states, as well as DC, Guam, and the Virgin Islands, and nearly 50,000 members. Today, it sends on average $12 million to libraries every year and provides thousands of hours of professional training. It also helps libraries navigate federal grant applications, hosts a scholarship program for libraries of color, and accredits library and information science schools nationwide. It makes you wonder about all this training they're doing in libraries, how corrupt the training must be if you've got someone here saying that libraries need to be sites of socialist organizing. That shouldn't be what you're doing with your training resources. Federal grants, which the ALA helps libraries to obtain, as well as money from the ALA, make up a relatively small percentage of most libraries' budgets. Still, extra federal cash allows libraries to purchase access to expensive databases, including those found on genealogy records, as well as to offer popular amenities such as summer reading programs, portable Wi-Fi hotspots, adult classes, and other initiatives for children. ALA money, meanwhile, often goes to scholarships or free travel for librarians to professional conferences. And the ALA trainings and online courses cover a range of activities, including cataloging, marketing, and intellectual freedom and copyright issues. Of course, they're leaving this part out, where libraries need to be sites of socialist organizing, which of course is part of their training. Librarians say the organization's work is vital. In Arizona, the ALA gave out $1.9 million in program grants over the past 2 years, much of it used to buy books and computers in small rural libraries, said Erin McFarland, the legislative committee chair for the Arizona Library Association. Her association is facing pressure from conservative parents and politicians to divest from ALA, she said, but has so far resisted. But others say the ALA has strayed from its mission, apart from allegations that the organization helps to expose children to inappropriate books. Some take issue with what they call political views advanced by the association's leaders. In April 2022, freshly elected ALA President Emily Drabinski tweeted her joy that she, a Marxist lesbian who believes that collective power is possible to build and can be wielded for a better world, had won the top job. The Montana State Library Commission voted to leave the ALA in July, the month Drabinski took office, because its constitution forbids association with an organization led by a Marxist. The Texas State Library and Archives Commission left the ALA in August, shortly after Harrison. The state representative urged it to do so, citing Drabinski's tweet. Quote, "I am proud to have successfully led the fight against them in Texas," Harrison said in a statement. No taxpayer should have to subsidize a Marxist and socialist-led organization like the American Library Association. Of course, he's absolutely right. In Missouri, Secretary of State John Ashcroft said he became aware of the ALA in July when someone showed him a video of Caldwell Stone giving tips to librarians on how to restrict which groups can host events in library spaces. Caldwell Stone was specifically detailing how libraries could reject story hours held by Brave Books, a Christian conservative publisher of faith-based children's books. Quote, "We're happily gone," Ashcroft said in an interview. "Tax dollars will not be used for this junk for pushing librarians to disallow services because they disagree with someone's political beliefs." Caldwell Stone said her comments about Brave Books were made as part of a presentation she has given for years about how libraries can avoid hosting disruptive events, and that she was not targeting Brave Books for its Christian beliefs. In fact, elsewhere in the presentation, she emphasized libraries cannot deny hosting privileges to anyone on the basis of their political views, religion, or background. She said Brave Books has a reputation for inviting hundreds of attendees to rooms too small to contain them. Brave Books chief executive and founder Trent Talbot wrote in a statement that, quote, "We were thrilled to hear that these states have cut ties with the ALA and that we hope to see more concerned citizens push their state and local representatives to follow suit." To some, the controversies over Caldwell Stone and Drabinski's remarks suggest a pattern. The ALA is stepping outside its former role as a neutral arbiter and into partisan activism, said Frederick Hess, the director of education policy studies at the Conservative American Enterprise Institute. And he said the ALA is not alone. He pointed to the National School Boards Association's 2021 declaration that school board protesters were engaging in domestic terrorism. Then there was the Southern Poverty Law Center's decision this year to label parents' rights group Moms for Liberty as extremist. Quote, "Whatever the internal justification is, I think that what's happened is groups like the ALA are no longer trying to stay out of the political debate," he said. "And when you choose to be a combatant, you get dragged." Watching the hubbub from his home in New Jersey, Dan Kleinman is feeling gleeful. 24 years ago, Kleinman's kindergartner son brought home Manga Boom, a book Kleinman felt contained an age-inappropriate reference to skinny dipping. When a school official told him the book made it into the library because it was ALA approved, Kleinman said he launched what became a decades-long campaign of blogging to expose what he calls the ALA's provision of pornographic books to children. Quote, "I have been reporting on this for 24 years, he said. Now they're listening. They're finally listening." Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.